Hey folks, this is Ben back with you in the Midwest Model Shop. I have not cleaned any of this stuff up. Today we're going to go ahead and get into the next episode of the Fletcher. What we're going to do is begin fitting it out. So we're going to start off with the port and starboard side depth charge area, if you will. Shorter video, but this is the first kind of like congested area of the ship where I want you just to see, like, when you get to it, I should do these first. I should paint this first, put it together in this order. Watch out for this, watch out for that. We'll throw a couple other little parts on, and that's it. We'll call it for this episode. I've got a week of pretty intense work ahead of me at my normal job, and so I was like, I could get this video out now, and then we'll get to it later. And this is good because it's just this little area of the ship. You can do this work kind of in an afternoon, and it's all consolidated in this episode. So that's what we're going to do. Thank you very much to everyone who's visited the MidwestModelShop.com recently and made a purchase. We appreciate it. And a super big, huge thank you and shout out to everyone on Patreon who supports us there. You guys are really awesome. All right, let's go ahead and get into the build. Well, hello folks, back to it. So I'm going to begin working on our depth charges and things. But before we do that, there are a couple of little fittings that kind of go up against the wall here. This, and I'm going to paint it with a brush after the fact, is our refueling trunk, I believe. Someone can correct me in the comments, but I'm pretty confident that's what that is. We'll put that in position, and then we have all these little holes here that we're going to start filling in, including these pieces right along the back. Let me see if I can show you. There you go. That's a pretty good view. I want to work inboard to outboard, right? Because otherwise things start to get in the way of itself. Well, what I've done is on the sprues, you can see all these depth charges, and you can see our torpedo and depth charges arbors, and I've just pre-shot them with braid just to get them ready to go. It's important for this next part that you pay attention to between the differences between E2 and E21 and where they go, and hopefully they all fit. We'll see how this works. But one of the things we got to do is clean up. So we'll start with this E21 down here. I've painted them. There's no good way other than to go like this, right, and snip off the arbor. Then, problem is, you're left with this curved piece that's got that spot there. So you need to take a round file or your hobby knife or something to clean that off. I have this tool you can get on Amazon. It comes with this deburring tool. I'm going to try not to deburr my finger. I may need to bump up the speed. Because it's round, and so it got rid of that fairly quickly. And then what we'll do is we'll just paint it in place, right? So we'll just apply a little bit of glue to the bottom and put the arbor in a spot like that. And that's it, really, right? Now, what I'm curious about is the instructions show the arbor sitting like this. I should try and push it down a little bit. It drops into this hole just a tiny bit. And then they do sit parallel to the walkway here. And then another one goes right in next to it, but the holes are really tight together. I'm concerned about the fit. We need to see how that works out. Actually, I think I know what's going on. Look how tall and long that piece is. Yeah, so these are going to stagger. Right? So the next one goes in is that first piece, E21. It will be shorter tall, shorter, taller. That's what's happening here. So let me go ahead and drop all those in. All right, those parts were in the arbors, and now you have these little pieces right here on page 5 of the instruction manual, assembly 6 and 7. This is your depth charge projectors, and it's a 2-piece arrangement. I don't even know, I received an email from a viewer asking me to fix these. Right here at the end of my drill bit, see that little divot? If you can even see it, that is a receiving hole for the end of that barrel right there. And there's no way that's going to work. So I have this little tiny drill bit. Oh my gosh, how are we going to do this here? Yep. And we're going to see the divot. And we're just going to try. This is probably a little big. Man, I'm trying to do this on the camera, guys and gals, and this is a little difficult. There we go. I'm just trying to create a hollow big enough. There we go. Let's get this out of here. There. See that divot? It's just large enough that we can receive the end of the depth charge. Right? So now let me do this here. It basically needs to be at like a 90-degree angle. Like that. Yeah, look at the picture and you'll see here. All right, give me a second, let this dry. All right, then let's see, this is number 6. Assembly 6. You need to watch the direction. This projector goes right there. Oriented like so. Actually, we need to come out a little bit. Okay, and then it has a very unique look. So you can make it out there what it looks like, and I've got to paint this thing. So then there's 1, 2 more that you have to make, and the direction changes and goes the other way. But that's how I'm doing it, all right? So let's get those installed. There we go. So these are in place. I do want to make a comment. I did decide this time around to install the base, right? This piece on the hull on this port side. I did it this way first. And then I literally, just like you're seeing here, I turned the hull on its side so that these are kind of straight up and down, right? And that way the angle is a little bit more consistent, because I had trouble over here on the starboard side getting that to work out the way that we wanted to. So those depth charges and the launchers are in place. Just a little bit of moving along here. I've got these chocks that I've installed most of them, but not all of them. And so we're going to go ahead and drop them in a position as well. I think, I don't know for sure that these are supposed to be closed chocks, but it's fine. It's such a microscopic detail to be working on. All right, so that's going to be fine. It's a little crooked, but we'll get paint on all this. So now we can move on to the rest of these little holes that are left here. All right, so we're caught up with all of that. I want to point out that at this point, where's a brush? Right here. I'm not going to do this. You should do this. You should paint this stuff. Reach back in here with your brush. Get all this stuff. Get all of this stuff tidied up. Do it now while you can before this next part. And arguably you could do this next part after the depth charges are installed, but we're going to kind of follow instructions. So what we have to install next are are loading davits, right? All this stuff is really heavy, and it didn't get put in the launchers by themselves. So you have these nice little davits, and they require a little bit of cleanup and a little bit of light sanding down at the base, and they will drop into position like so. And then do the best you can, because there's going to be 3 of them. I guess symmetry isn't too important unless you're going to have them all stowed the same position, which I'm going to try and do. Get them left to right and front to back. Now, they're fragile, and I broke one. I was just doing my sanding cleanup and it busted on me. I was like, well, fine, I'll put this piece in, I'll glue this to the top of it, and we'll be okay. But you can also just get a thin piece of brass wire that's approximately the same diameter, which is what I did, and bend it to match, and you'll be good. Arguably, you might want to do this for all of them because they will be stronger and easier for you to work with. But instead of being able to glue them into position with model glue, obviously you're going to have to use CA glue instead. So I tried to get that little nub off of there. That's another thing that's vexing me. I was sanding carefully and evidently I missed it. If you use brass, you won't have that problem because all you gotta do is clean off the end. Get this, that. We'll trim. Okay. So that one, I know from there, let's see here. Trying to get them to be straight up and down, right? As much as possible here. I know this is on camera. And as the Tamiya glue sets up, yeah, that's going to work out pretty well. Let's get a little CA glue here. All right. Yeah. Do it with tweezers. Tip it back so that they line up like that. Yes, they match. Make sure, I gotta change my view here, folks, so I can check, are they straight up and down? This one needs to lean forward a little bit. Okay, and we're good. And once they get painted, no one's gonna notice that that one right here on the end is brass. Oh, I did have a quick comment here. So I just used CA glue and I monkeyed with it. I've had people ask me, Ben, how do you get the CA glue that isn't instantaneous? So I'm using this stuff. It's just B&G Train World extra thick 10 to 25 second glue right there. You can get Bob's CA glue. I think it's the same thing. You have a little bit of time to work with it, and that's how you get away with this stuff. The other thing is, fun fact, CA glue has a shelf life. And let's see, I've got some other stuff here. It's all B&G Train World. I buy these small, this is my local shop. You guys should support your local business. But if you go like Bob's CA glue, it's the same stuff online. 10 to 25 seconds, extra thick. I buy these small bottles. And the reason is, CA glue has a shelf life. Once you open this, it's a few weeks, I think, is the timing on how it all works out. And then, yeah, it's no good anymore after that. Sorry about the focus there. And as it starts to go bad, it takes longer to cure. And you have more time to play around with it. But you will get to the point where you do have to use some Instaset CA accelerator to make all those things work out the way that you want to, right? All right, enough of that, pressing on. Okay, so we've made some progress here. I had to take some of my own advice and paint things. The launchers here with the depth charges on them, those are black. The launchers are gray. It was getting too complicated to reach around and do this next part. So what we're doing now is we have to get the depth charges in position that are actually sitting on their arbors. Let me, oh geez, hang on a second. Here we go. You grab a different set of tweezers. Start in the back and work forward. Like that. And then get the next one and move on ahead. And you've got 9 per side in this area right here that we're going to be installing. And then come back with your little paintbrush and we can touch everything up. Like so. All right, let me knock all these out. Okay, one more thing while we're moving along here. I've got these little blast shields kind of for your midship anti-aircraft gun protection. Need to be installed on both sides. There is a direction to these because the front end is higher than the back, right? Bow is raised more than the stern. So this side under my index finger that you're seeing is larger. So just double check that looks and make sure you got it right. I'm going to glue this in position. I've got it the gray that matches up here, and I might do a little bit of camouflage on it with a brush. We'll see. Okay, so now that that's done, we'll scoot over like I told you I was doing here. This is the whole little midship port side depth charge area that we put together, and I think it's looking pretty good, right? A lot of little stuff starting to happen, starting to add a lot of detail and dynamics to the overall appearance of the ship. Things just became complicated in an area as we start to fit it all out, and I really like the look of it. We'll scoot over here. The same thing was done to our starboard side. We'll just look at it kind of an angle like this, and so you can see that those are in place. You've got your davits. So when you sight up the hull, right, it starts to look really, really cool. And then hopefully we can see this here. Yeah, there you go. So take a look at the davits. I've tried really hard there to keep them, these three and these three, to keep them looking straight and in a line. You don't have to do that. I just did it to, for the sake of consistency, right? So that's going to be it for this episode. We'll pick another area and press on. And the next one, maybe I think we might move to the stern area here where we've got our aft depth charges. We got a couple of racks to build here, and there's some railing that goes in, and there's a bunch of little fittings that go into position here. I think that we'll go ahead and we'll work on that one next time. So anyway, that's it. Thank you all very much for watching on this one. I hope that you enjoyed it. And yeah, the ship's starting to look really good. All right, we'll see everybody.